The Bible is a deeply revered and complex text that has been a cornerstone of faith for millions of people around the world. However, for those seeking to learn the true lessons of the Bible, relying on mainstream media as a primary source of information can be a misguided approach. Mainstream media often presents a superficial or sensationalized portrayal of biblical teachings, failing to provide a nuanced and accurate understanding of the text. One of the primary reasons why mainstream media is ill-equipped to convey the true lessons of the Bible is its tendency to focus on sound bites and headlines rather than in-depth analysis. News outlets and media programs often prioritize ratings and clickbait over thoughtful exploration, resulting in a truncated and distorted representation of biblical teachings. This can lead to the perpetuation of misconceptions and stereotypes, rather than a genuine understanding of the text. Furthermore, mainstream media often approaches the Bible from a secular or worldly perspective, which can lead to a lack of contextual understanding. The Bible is a deeply spiritual text that requires a level of reverence, respect, and spiritual discernment to fully comprehend. However, mainstream media frequently treats the Bible as a historical or cultural artifact, rather than a living, breathing guide for spiritual growth and development. This approach can result in a sanitized or watered-down version of biblical teachings, stripped of their spiritual significance and power. Another issue with relying on mainstream media for biblical lessons is the influence of agendas and biases. Many media outlets and journalists approach the Bible with a preconceived agenda or ideological perspective, which can color their interpretation and presentation of the text. This can lead to a selective and cherry-picked representation of biblical teachings, emphasizing certain aspects while ignoring or downplaying others. As a result, viewers and readers may be exposed to a skewed or distorted view of the Bible, rather than a balanced and nuanced understanding. In addition, mainstream media often relies on so-called experts or scholars to provide commentary and analysis on biblical teachings. While these individuals may possess a certain level of academic credentials or knowledge, they may not necessarily be grounded in a deep, personal understanding of the Bible. This can result in a dry, intellectualized, or abstract presentation of biblical teachings rather than a heartfelt and spirit-led approach. The Bible is a text that requires a level of spiritual insight and discernment to fully comprehend, and mainstream media's reliance on secular experts can fall short of providing this depth of understanding. Moreover, the 24-hour news cycle and the constant stream of information can also contribute to a superficial understanding of biblical teachings. Mainstream media often prioritizes breaking news and current events over in-depth analysis and thoughtful reflection. This can lead to a lack of context and a failure to fully explore the richness and complexity of biblical teachings. The Bible is a text that requires patience, reflection, and contemplation to fully understand, and the fast-paced, attention-grabbing nature of mainstream media can be at odds with this approach. Finally, the Bible is a text that requires a level of personal engagement and application to fully comprehend. Mainstream media can provide information and analysis, but it cannot replace the need for personal study, reflection, and spiritual practice. The true lessons of the Bible can only be learned through a direct, personal encounter with the text, rather than relying on second-hand interpretations or media representations. This requires a willingness to engage with the Bible on a deep, spiritual level, rather than simply relying on external sources of information. In conclusion, while mainstream media may provide some limited insight into biblical teachings, it is ultimately an inadequate source for learning the true lessons of the Bible. The complexities, nuances, and spiritual depths of the text require a more thoughtful, reverent, and personal approach, one that prioritizes spiritual discernment, contextual understanding, and heartfelt application. For those seeking to truly understand the Bible, it is essential to look beyond mainstream media and engage with the text in a more direct, personal, and spirit-led way. By doing so, individuals can gain a richer, more nuanced understanding of the Bible and its teachings, one that can inform and transform their lives in profound and lasting ways.